G'day and welcome to this week's video. This week we're going to have a look at home loan affordability and discuss some recent articles that was in the news that was really looking at some of the basis that the banks use to help determine how much you can borrow. Now, just initially, we've got a certain amount of research from our economist Tim Farrelly, a guy we very much trust. He provides valuations on markets based on fundamentals such as earnings and earnings growth and sentiment of the market, the PE ratios. But he's also done quite a bit of research on what drives property prices, particularly residential property. And obviously in Australia we've seen substantial growth in particularly the major capital cities. And as part of his research, one of the things that has been pushing the prices, and it's been pushing all asset prices, not just property but also share markets, and that's obviously debt and cheap and easy money. So one of his conclusions is that house prices are often set by home loan affordability, which essentially means is how much a bank is willing to lend the average buyer. Now, some of the reports of late have come out and said the expenditure assumptions that the banks have made, and this is within 3/4 of all of the loans that are out there, is that the assumptions to what a family, so the home expenditure measure for a family of four, is actually quite low. In fact, it's that low. It's only $32,400, which is less than what a couple on a full-age pension are receiving, between $34,000 and $35,000 per year. And they consider just over $58,000 to be lavish. Now, I've got a family of six, and I know we don't do it for $32,000 each year. So I'd say these assumptions are not very conservative. They're assuming people are living extremely frugally. So what would happen if all of a sudden the banks started to use higher living cost measures instead of the $32,400 per year? Well, it's going to significantly change the amount of money that the banks are going to borrow. So if we went to the $58,200, and we can do some figures here, and I've just brought up this is the NAB Bank borrowing calculator to estimate how much people can afford. So we've got two dependents and husband and wife, both earning $50,000 each, so jointly $100,000. And I'll put in here the basic living of so that's the $32,000 or $2,700 per month, and that means they can borrow up to you can see the figure here of $655,000, and repayments of just under $3,900 per month. Now, if we change that figure to the lavish figure and on a monthly basis, that's $4,850. You can see it's a substantial drop in terms of how much the bank will borrow, and obviously that will have a huge impact when people go to purchase homes, the space that they're looking, and the amount of that they can spend. Now, that's a decrease of 28.5%, so really substantial. We've seen the Banking Royal Commission is looking into all of these issues, as well as obviously misconduct. That's the primary focus of the Royal Commission. But all these things that put people under stress, under financial stress, are going to be looked at. The APRA, the banking regulator, has been looking into the types of loans that have been sold, and so potentially over time that things may tighten up. Banks may start to use a higher estimate for people's living expenditure on a yearly basis, and that may limit the amount people can borrow, which in turn down the track may have an impact on property prices. So just good information to know. These changes obviously definitely not legislated. They will potentially come from the bank in their internal regulation, or regulation from APRA, the banking regulator. So watch this space. And keep in mind that I'll just go back to here, home loan. 75% of all loans have been assessed under this basic home expenditure measure. So the large majority of home loans have been based on that and not the Lavish. So they've been able to borrow substantially more. Thank you for listening. Just good general information. We'll catch you next week. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That'd be awesome. And thank you for listening.